Welcome to this course dealing with covenantal apologetics, where we continue to build upon the foundations that we laid in the previous course, the biblical and theological foundations given there. My name is Scott Oliphint. I was educated originally in Texas and moved from Texas to earn my degrees at Westminster Theological Seminary. After that, then I went into pastoral ministry for a number of years back in Texas, before I began teaching apologetics and systematic theology in seminary. Because apologetics and systematic theology are my primary interests, I've written books on those topics. Covenantal Apologetics, which deals with some of the material that we're covering in this course, but in a more in-depth way in the book. Reasons for Faith helps those Christians interested in philosophy to begin to think biblically about what philosophy is, how it can help us, but also how we ought to think about it in relationship to theology. God with Us is a book that I wrote to help us understand not only who God is, which is most important, but also who God is in relationship to who we are and how He relates Himself to us. The Battle Belongs to the Lord is a book on apologetics dealing with biblical principles that any in the church ought to be able to understand and to use in their own defense of Christianity. And then I edited a book entitled Revelation and Reason, which again deals with those topics in light of a defense of Christianity. So as you can see, my own passion, and this has been the case really since almost the beginning of my conversion, my own passion has been how should we defend the faith? What does it mean to defend the faith? And then also, who is God and how is it that God relates Himself to creation? When we're thinking about then in this course the practice of covenantal apologetics, one of the things that it is important for us, I think, to begin to recognize is what we call God's common grace, His universal mercy over all of creation and to all that He has made. That's going to impinge on the way we think about other people, we think about God's activity in the world. It's going to help us exegete what's going on in the world and our culture as God extends His goodness over everything. We move from there then to a worldview and thinking most specifically about worldview is. What is it that a worldview does to us? Why would we have one? Or why do we think we have one? We want to unify those things even outside of Christ. Certainly for Christians this is the case, but even those outside of Christ want to unify their experiences in order to try to make sense of what they do on a day-to-day basis. How does that affect our understanding of a defense of Christianity? And then we move from there to a covenantal apologetic, an apologetic that has its roots and foundation in Scripture. What are the tenets there, and how do we think about those tenets? And then in application, we want to think specifically about the problem of evil, the logical problem, the evidential problem of evil, and how those things impinge on our defense of Christianity.